Attorney General Patrick Morissey joining us again today. Just saw you yesterday, but today some new developments that obviously affect not only West Virginia but also Washington, D.C. Just give us a little update as to what's happening.
Well, as many people know, a number of months ago, I started conducting an investigation of myelin over the Epi-Pen and the pricing. And one of the things that came out probably about 6 weeks ago is that we thought that there were significant issues with how myelin was treating its Medicaid rebates. So we've looked deeper into that. And as we've looked at that, the Department of Justice had announced a very large settlement. We think it's inadequate. It's woefully deficient for West Virginia, and I'm calling on the Department of Justice and everyone in the state to say no to this sweetheart deal. I think West Virginia can do much better, and we need to hold companies accountable when they're violating the law.
So what have you officially done to kind of notify Washington?
Sure.
I don't think this is right.
Well, we forwarded a letter to them today, and we obviously have been collecting information from our investigation, and then, as many people know, we enforced the subpoena, and that action is still underway. But what we've always said is we're getting all the material, and I want to make sure I protect West Virginians, make them whole. A lot of people got ripped off, and we want to make sure that there's justice in the system and there's accountability. And we know that this amount represents just a fraction of what they profited for, and I think that the taxpayers need to be made whole.
Just talk about, a lot of us have family members that use EpiPen, myself included. Talk about just how wrong this was, because this obviously generated a national outrage.
Well, I think that the reason why I was the first Attorney General in the country to take on the EpiPen matter is because I think it struck a chord in a lot of people, and my job is to make sure that the laws are enforced. And we've been looking at the competition issues, and we've been looking really closely at these Medicaid rebate issues. We knew that this smelled, and that's why we went after it very aggressively. That's why the Department of Justice, went after it. But when I saw the dollar amount, boy, that just rubbed me the wrong way, because we have to do better for our state. So I think parents and kids and people are rightfully concerned about what happens when a company arguably has crossed the line.
What will this letter do? Will it actually do anything? That's what a lot of people are going to ask.
Well, I think there are a couple things. One, my position on this is very clear, and I'm urging the state of West Virginia to say no to this sweetheart deal. So I'm clear about that. I'm not always the final decision maker in terms of some of the substantive issues. In this case, we're urging Medicaid Fraud Unit to say no because there's a much better deal out there. We're also weighing in with the Department of Justice, which gets the attention of folks in Congress who are currently doing an oversight investigation over this particular settlement. When they know that Republicans and Democrats alike are weighing in against this settlement because it's a sweetheart deal, that'll increase pressure to reopen it.
Why is it always West Virginia or Patrick Morissey leading the charge? Not the biggest state in the union by any stretch of the imagination, and certainly you wouldn't think West Virginia would carry the clout of maybe a New York or California. Why is it always Patrick Morissey?
Well, I appreciate that. What we've been doing is putting together broad coalitions of states, and when West Virginia speaks, we hope the federal government pays attention because we've beaten them time after time after time in federal court. We have a high-quality office, and we've been very aggressive on substance abuse, fighting the EPA, protecting our jobs, and people know that when we get engaged, it's serious, we have good lawyers, and we only act when we have evidence.
What can we do in Washington, throughout the country, to ensure that companies aren't doing this, that this doesn't happen again?
Well, I think there needs to be broad healthcare reform in terms of ensuring that there's better competition within the system, better access to a lot of these products. That makes the price cheaper for people. We have to be looking at that. In the meantime, I'm going to enforce every law in the books, make sure that people are held accountable if they do violate the law. And we know on this Medicaid rebate, there's been a lot of concern that the company had profited. We have to get to the bottom of that and make sure West Virginians, her taxpayers, are held whole.